Hey everyone, Hyde Love here. Tonight is the full blue moon, and it's going to be the last blue moon for several decades. So we're going to go out here on a little night swim at Barton Springs in Austin, Texas, to go howl at the moon and perform a few little mini rituals. I figured I'd take y'all with me on a little adventure, and we'll see what happens. This spot's gonna be perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ministry Podcast. Why do they call it the Ministry Podcast, Stewart? Because we practice what we preach. That's why. I'm here with my good friend, Stewart King. He's the owner and proprietor of King Tears Mortuary. It's a very special episode. I'm very happy to have him on here today. Stewart, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm glad to be here.
Good. I know you've been looking forward to coming on.
Yeah, to talk about death.
And that's what we're here for. That's what this episode is all about. Life, death, the afterlife, whatever you believe in.
Yeah.
Stewart, I'm sure you have a very interesting perspective on all this, given the industry that you're in.
Yeah, you know, I grew up around the funeral business, so you can say I grew up around death. Okay, and one question I have, I don't understand why death was never talked about at home in people's houses. Death is natural. Nobody gets out alive. Death is natural. It comes to us all. So I think death has been misinterpreted through horror movies, through different stuff, instead of looking at the concept of what death is.
Absolutely.
Nobody has a definition of death, but everybody knows what death is. But I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, but there's more than one way to God. I feel like we are all energy. We come from energy. We go back to the energy. Some people call it soul. I call it energy. Energy can never be destroyed. So we're just in that energy that brought us here. Energy, that positive energy. Let me stop right there and say positive energy. Depends on everything, how we act, where we go, what we do. Negative energy takes you to a different place. Okay, I believe that once somebody dies, I call it positive death. The energy just goes into another dimension, because all we are is energy. We're energy. It's called different stuff by different religions. That's why I say it's more than one way to God.
100%.
More than one way. Every religion talks about the afterlife.
And in my experience in studying like multiple religions and things like that, from what I understand, it's like they all are basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all these different pathways lead to the same conclusions. And it's interesting.
Same conclusions.
It's interesting how like all around the world in different time periods and through different ages, we all end up coming to the same conclusions, is that we're all made up of some type of source energy that we go back to when we die.
Yeah.
And are we aware of that, or are we not aware of that? And that's where religion comes into play.
Yeah, I feel that we're very aware of it. Because if you really, it's like a transistor radio. You can turn the dial, and you can tap into this energy which you can't see, but the radio comes on and then you hear a voice. We don't use enough of our brain, but if you can tap into that energy, then you would see a whole lot more, and you would listen with your brain instead of your ears. Now, people don't understand that, but right now, every day we have conversations with ourselves. We can listen to our brain. I was talking to one girl today when I was working out, and she said, well, if I listen to my brain, I'm gonna think about a whole lot of negativity. I said, that's because you're not looking at it as positive. You have to have a positive spirit. And then you can learn a lot from your brain. That's energy.
Yeah, and that all ties into like doing the inner work for yourself, and sort of wrestling with your shadow and figuring out how to discern the negative parts of yourself from the positive parts of yourself.
You see, there was a seed planted for us to grow. Okay?
Exactly.
Let me give you an example, rose bush. A rose bush, you plant it, it dies. Okay, then you look up, next season, it comes back to life. It's a seed, and then that seed is energy. So that's like all flowers and grass, you know, everything withers.
It's a cycle.
It's nature.
It's transformation. I've always viewed death as transformation.
It is, and to another dimension. And I ask a lot of preachers all the time, what happened if you die and find out we've been in hell the whole time? You know, and nobody.
There's a lot of people who believe that.
Yeah,
too.
and nobody can give me an explanation of if I die and look up and my energy is in hell. I made that happen. If my energy is in paradise, like the Muslims, they believe they die, they'll be with 70 virgins. You know, it's just that everything is about energy. Everything, things that were made, but they were made by energy that wasn't seen.
Absolutely.
It's all about nature, and people don't put the two together because we're part of nature also.
Oh, 100%.
You know, we wither away.
That's the whole part of the transformation. You know, like our bodies decay, and then it feeds the earth and gives the nutrients for the plants to thrive. And
they have a body farm.
You know, all of these connections that people don't realize, they take for granted, because I believe 100% that, like, whether you think this is hell on earth or whatever, we're here because we made a decision sometime before we came here to live a life where we completely forgot who we are.
Right.
And just to sort of like a grand experiment, if you will, that God is involved in. You can call it God, spirit, source, whatever. But it's basically an experiment to see that if we can still remember who we are and get in touch with who we are through these learning experiences that we're constantly growing and learning from throughout life. And it's kind of our duty and our responsibility to work on ourselves to regain that connection. And to help others bring others into that as well.
Absolutely. Like, you believe in crystals. Crystals, everything has energy in it. I don't care what it is. Everything came from energy.
And there's the interesting thing to me about this also is that there's a lot of science that is coming out. The more and more we delve into things like with the particle collider at CERN and the stuff that they're doing, that it's just sort of revealing what we already know to be true.
Yeah.
With exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Energy is it's all just there. Like, all this exists because we're making it exist.
Exactly. Now, I say positive death. There's let me clarify that, because some death is not positive, like some tragic happens, but what comes out of that tragedy can be positive. So let me clear that up. The school shootings, it's terrible, it's tragic. You know, people shooting up kids and stuff, but what do we see positive to come out of that? Our laws, our security. Something has to come out of any kind of death positive. God cures and God heals.
Not to mention, what I really believe when you're touching on that is that sometimes people need to be put through tragic situations in order to trigger their awakening and their connection with God.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But like I said, God heals and God cures. Sometimes the cure is death. Because nobody wants to lay up and can't function. You know, that's why I say God heals and God cures. Sometimes the cure is death. Looking at someone suffering, and I'm not going to say there's no hope, but sometimes God chooses to, his cure is to get their energy. Light is energy. So light always cures darkness. You can turn, let there be light, you know, boom, and you're out of darkness. We say that all the time, you know, joking around, but people do not really look at the possibilities that we have, because we don't use enough of our brain. I think it's a distraction with worrying about this, worrying about that. I met a minimalist. He's from China. He had one set of clothes, one coffee cup, one knife, one fork, and I had never met a minimalist before. But he had a camera, and he'd come to the United States, get on a bus, and he'd come by the funeral home. He wants to be cremated. If he dies in the United States while he's here, then we're gonna take care of him. If he dies in China, well, they take all his property. And I don't know what a minimalist was, but he was happy with just the little bit. When we think that having all these things make a difference, and they don't.
No, not really. I mean, if you're not happy with what you're doing in life, none of it matters.
No.
I think that that's a big part of our purpose here, is to like pursue our joy.
Yeah.
Because if we're, like I've said this before on the podcast, if and think about this, if we come from God, if we come from Source, and we are doing what makes us happy, then we're doing what makes God happy. Because if we are of God and we are created in God's image, then we have a responsibility to pursue our own happiness.
Yeah, but we don't start living until we find our purpose. Everybody has a purpose.
Exactly.
We're here for a purpose. So everybody, I don't care what it is, whatever you do, we all have a purpose. And that purpose can be anything. I call being a mechanic a ministry. Anytime you do right by people, it's a ministry.
Yeah.
Just not. I'm not talking religion. I don't mention the word religion a whole lot. I think religion has gotten in the way of a lot of stuff. People have made their own religions.
Oh yeah.
You know, but the truth is that we're nature. We are composed of energy. How we choose to use it is totally up to us. You know, that's why the more I grow, friends start dropping off. You know.
Yeah, because they're no longer in alignment with you.
No.
You know, because as we grow, and I've had that happen many times in my life, where I've had to cut ties with people, not out of spite or anger or anything. It's just you slowly drift apart because they want to stay here, and as you're growing, they're not growing. And
no, they're not. No, they're not.
Or they're not necessarily that they're not growing, but maybe they may be growing in a different direction.
Right.
You know,
And I just believe that it's you know, when we get tired of people using us, then we have to move on. Because you know, you have your fair weather friends. I can count the number of people that I could call, and they would answer their phone. If they want something, they'll answer their phone. If they don't need nothing, they won't.
Yeah.
But they'll call me, and I'll help you, you know. But sometimes we have to help ourselves.
I believe it's more important to help yourself first.
Yeah, and to
fill
love
your
yourself.
own cup, and
Yeah.
like whatever's overflowing after you fill
Yeah.
your own, that's what you can give to others.
Yeah.
Because if you're fulfilled in what you're doing,
Right.
then it just becomes so much easier to be fulfilled while helping others.
Right. And when I talk about hearing with your brain, that's nothing but meditation, because you don't talk while you're meditating.
That's communicating with spirit, I believe.
Yeah. And the energy.
Yeah.
Spirit is nothing but energy. The soul, nothing but energy. But all of it is in different contexts, whatever context you put it in. But like I said, I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm already saved, and I ask questions to pastors and preachers and elders and apostles and archbishops all the time about death and life, and if you practice biblical principles, will you go to heaven? And I never can get a real answer, you know, because in one part it says, do not forsake the assembly of God. That means getting together with other believers. But if you are a believer, you're a believer, no matter if you go to church or not. Some people go to church and raise hell all week.
They use church as an excuse to
Yeah.
commit sin and then come back every Sunday and ask
Yeah.
for forgiveness and think
Yeah.
that everything's fine.
Yeah.
But that's when people twist things around to work for them, and when they're really not working for spirit or God, or
No.
it's not meant to be like that. And
Yeah.
I've studied this for a while when I was younger, and I had some questions for some of my pastors, and we
Yeah.
kind of butted heads a little bit over it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like that I was asking questions.
Yeah, well, I ask questions, you know, on the way to the cemetery.
Yeah.
So, and they have to sit there and listen. And sometimes they'll respond, but they'll respond in a way that totally takes what I ask them out of context. You know, because I believe in the power and about energy. Love is energy. Marvin Gaye said a long time ago, love conquers hate.
Yeah, love is the highest frequency
Yeah.
that you can align yourself with.
Yeah, it is.
100% believe that.
Yeah, love conquers hate.
But what a lot of people don't understand is that sometimes like saying no or pushing somebody away can also be an act of love.
Yeah, yeah, I truly believe that, because sometimes God's no is better than his yes.
Because for whatever reason, that person, if they're encroaching on your energy and you need to push them away or tell them no, that could be whatever they needed to hear to come in contact with the next experience that will turn their life around.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, what are the next two letters after M? What are they?
N-O.
Oh, okay.
I had to think about that for a second.
I know you did.
I promise I graduated high school, folks.
But that's the way I say no. I say, what are the next two letters after M? I don't have to say it. I just say, what are the next two letters after M? Because I have a hard time. I've always had a hard time saying no to people, and that comes from being a mama's boy. You know, I love Austin. Austin's changing. But we as people, we as enemies, not enemies, but we as people that are here, I don't understand why we're not listening to. We were taught this in the 70s, like the OJ's Love Train. Marvin Gaye sang a lot about protest words in his songs. A lot of those artists, and the same thing is still happening today. What those artists were telling us a long time ago. You know, let's start a love train. You know, look, by the OJs. There's a lot of artists that we were teaching us stuff, listening to stuff, but nobody was understanding it at that time because they thought that it was okay. But nothing has changed. Nothing.
Yeah, cycles repeat and they repeat
Yeah.
and they repeat
And-
until you wake up and finally break
But-
out of it.
We'll never wake up.
I kind of
Never wake up.
I somewhat disagree.
I'm talking about
'Cause
the world.
I believe that we're in an age now where people are starting to, as a collective, beginning to wake up and realize that we have this
Be woke.
connection.
Be woke. That's what
No, well, not being I don't mean be woke as like, you know, be progressive and
Yeah, okay,
woke,
okay.
quote unquote.
Okay.
I mean, like, you know, remembering who you actually are, really.
Yeah.
Waking up to your connection with consciousness. With super consciousness and
Yeah.
with God, and there's a whole community of people like myself that are just have been through several dark nights of the soul, and like just basically come to the same realization that, like, oh my gosh, like I'm God, like not like I'm God, but like,
Right.
you know, but we are all connected, like we are all experiencing all this together, not separate.
No. You know, there's a lot of things I want to say I can't say on camera.
Well, you can say anything you want on this podcast
about the way we are, but as far as nothing has changed as far as racism. Nothing has changed, and nothing has changed. You know,
I think a lot of things are coming to light, though. I think
they-
there's a Gnostic text, which Gnosticism was sort of like what Christianity was before the Romans got a hold of it.
Right.
And there's when we know these texts exist because we found them I think 100 years ago or less than 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's basically like Jesus telling all these secret teachings that got left out of the original Bibles that were just kind of lost.
Right.
But in it, he talks about how basically evil as a whole has to like burn itself out. And when it does, when we get to a point when everything starts coming to light and it's sort of like literally is like I feel like we're watching it burn itself out right now with everything coming to light with the Epstein files and we're realizing how dark and deep that rabbit hole goes with all of the elite, quote unquote, that have been doing all this stuff. So there's a shift that's happening to where there's going to be a whole collective of people that's going to replace the status quo, but in a way that's like positive and sort of like brings what's meant to happen. You know, the if you want to call it the 10,000 year reign of God after Revelation or whatever. When evil finally gets to a point to where it literally burns itself out and eats itself alive, people like us are going to come in and replace that, and then that's when true change is going to start happening in the world. I think we're living in that era right now.
You do?
I really do.
Okay.
It's just going to take time to unfold, you know, like maybe a few more generations after me.
Yeah. Because we got more years behind us than we do in front of us. But this is everything is based on nature, and I can't stress this enough that we go to, like, I believe that, and people think, I tell people, you know, you still can talk to your loved ones, you know, you can have a conversation. because I can feel my parents' spirit at times. I can hear, with my brain, I can hear the lessons that they taught. You know, I was always told you can't do wrong, get by. That was one of my mother's favorite sayings, and I hear that all the time. And I really can feel them in this place. I can feel them at home. They are here. They're just in another where we can't see.
Yeah. And on that note,
Can't see them.
we're going to take a little break, and we'll come back with some more insights from Stewart. Check this out. I'm hungry. Well, calm down. I'm making dinner. Oh, what are you making? I'm making chicken. Who made that yesterday? Well, today is different. How so? Because I'm seasoning it with Deez. With Deez? What do you mean with Deez? With seasoned Deez. Bah! Szechuan seasoning. It's your turn to cook anyways. And we're back. How'd you guys like that little segment?
Oh, you got some more power. You got some more power.
Yeah, so we were talking about energy and life and death.
Oh yeah. And another thing I believe in that I hope you can understand that sometimes imagination is better than education. You look at all these inventors; they just didn't have the best of education, but they had a great imagination.
I think it's the imagination that connects us with our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And it allows us to talk to different versions of ourselves. Because if you believe, like I do, I believe in like multiple universes, and that, the decisions that we make are how we jump from different versions of ourselves.
Right.
And it depends on like a choice that you make could send you down path A or path B. So you have the version of yourself that exists on path B and the version of yourself that exists on path A. But if you're meditating on path A, you can talk to the person on path B because they're existing at the same time.
Yeah, same time.
But your conscious mind is allowing you to experience only one at a time linearly. That's where meditation comes into place, and the imagination. I think that we can receive downloads from ourselves that allow us to become better versions of ourselves. And it's up to us whether or not we pursue that.
Yeah, because I truly believe that all this technology has been here. When time began, all of this technology, the cell phone, it was here, but we weren't tied into that. We weren't ready for it.
We are definitely rediscovering technologies even today that have existed for millennia that we're just only kind of revisiting and to trying to understand. I saw a video the other day, actually. Have you ever heard of the Earth battery?
No.
It's basically this guy had invented this clock that runs on the Earth.
Okay.
Where he stuck a copper plate and a zinc plate and put a wire in between them. And if you watered the Earth, that copper plate and that zinc plate and the wire creates just enough electricity to power a clock.
Yeah.
So he called it the Earth battery. And people are starting to like revisit this, and even though it wasn't really a lost concept, because apparently it's a thing in agriculture too, because they were using Earth batteries in war times to like have like lines of communication that couldn't be intercepted by enemies. But when they were doing that, they realized that like all this vegetation was like growing immensely along the lines where these wires were running through the ground, And it's like now people are realizing that you can use this to like help with agriculture, and it's not that people are realizing it, it's that they're kind of rediscovering it.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of just,
Yes.
you could call it technology, like the Amish.
Yes.
I think there's a tree called the it's the Osage orange tree, I think is what it's called, or something like that. But basically they cut off limbs of this tree because it emits this sap that creates a cloud about 12 feet in diameter.
Okay.
Of the odor, and then the sap also seeps in the ground, but it keeps pests away from the garden. So they can literally create a grid of just sticks in the ground that like deter all kinds of bugs and pests and things like that.
That's nature.
Yeah, and it's just natural. It's like
nature.
Using Earth's technology that it's just natural things to create just harmony and balance with nature. And the more and more we dive into technology and figure these things out for ourselves, the more and more we keep going back to technologies that have been around for thousands of years because it's just easier.
Yeah, like I said, it's been here. It's all been here. We just weren't ready for it. We were not ready for it. But there's more to come. This AI is really tripping me out.
That's another topic. I think AI, like
for another,
I think that technology. This is a belief that I've held for years.
Yeah.
But technology mirrors human consciousness because as we, as a community of people, grow with our understanding of the universe, so does the technology with that. Because if we're receiving downloads from our higher selves to give us the imaginative insights to create things out of thin air, that technology mirrors the consciousness of the highest self. And as each generation grows and becomes more aware, so does the technology. And AI being able to mirror human consciousness is sort of like the ultimate version of that. So, and when I think about it in those terms, there's so much to be said about that, about how aware people are becoming of themselves, that literally we're creating technologies that mimic the human brain.
Yeah, but it also goes back to imagination and tuning in to that right frequency. You know, to get what you want.
It is kind of scary to think about how it can take over everything, literally.
Yeah.
But I also think it could be a useful tool.
It can, but you know, you have those that use it for different causes.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you hear stories about people that want to like link up their brains up with the computer systems to live forever and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I'm sure that exists, and that, like, you know, we know about Neuralink and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You know, you're not meant to live forever on a false AI version of yourself. We're meant to be here, grow, and then go back to source, aware of our existence.
Yeah. You know,
that is what heaven is to me.
Yeah. I'm not rushing it, but I'm excited about what's ahead of me. I don't look behind, but I'm excited about the future. I'm concerned about education of these children. It's a lot of things that I can't say on camera.
I think as far as children goes, we're sort of learning from our mistakes right now.
Yeah.
Because there is a whole generation of people that grew up slightly younger than me, where they always had access to these technologies and always had a camera in their face or a screen in their face.
Yeah.
And they're disconnected because of it. But the generation after that is realizing this. So it's up to them, I believe, to take the proper steps to raise a new generation of children that is going to be the opposite of that. And I think there's enough people out there that are doing that, including myself. I mean, I have children that are grown now, but I made those same mistakes when I was a kid.
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
we're all
have.
naive when you're young, but
Oh yeah.
I'm 100% in favor of fostering a new generation
Yeah.
that would be the opposite. I think that's what we need. you
Yeah.
know.
I
If
agree.
I ever had the opportunity, I would have more kids just so I can contribute to that.
Yeah, and it's also like in the death care industry right now. We're battling or having a conversation with tradition. You know, tradition. People are not doing what they used to do as far as the death care industry. It's changing. Tradition, old traditions are slowly fading away. Church denominations are slowly fading away. You know, it hurts me to say this, but I keep asking because I'm around a lot of preachers. How do you get young people to come to church? How do you get that generation to come to church? But it's not about coming to church. It's about learning right from wrong and positive. Always got to be positive. I can't do negative people at all. I'll have a conversation with you, but that's about as far as it goes. But right now, we are definitely at a turning point in the death care industry about tradition. Everybody used to get buried. People not doing that anymore. You're getting green burials, you're getting pods, you're getting cremation. We see more cremation going up. Cemetery costs are too high. I think we're going to come into a recession. I think we're already in one. People are not spending money like they used to. People are budgeting their money, so the funeral industry has to change. And it's all about tradition, because we're not doing what Big Mama used to do, funeral, the big funeral and all this. People are not doing that anymore. And that's because it's a new generation. They're gonna want to do things different.
Do you think that it's time for the funeral industry to start embracing new traditions?
Well, I wouldn't say traditions. I'm talking about new way of making things happen when somebody's loved one dies, however that might be, whatever they want to do. Like when families come here, it's not about us. If they want this, that's fine. We give them options. And talking to somebody today, met with a family today, they struggling whether to bury their mother or cremate her. They're struggling with that, because cremation used to be illegal in the Catholic Church. It used to be illegal.
I did not know that.
Yeah. The Catholic Church didn't believe in cremation. For a long time, they did not believe in cremation. Certain, I'm not going to say that word, but certain doctrine, cremation used to be taboo. But all that has changed. All that has changed now. I remember when you couldn't even, because there's no body at the church. But y'all can fact check me on this, but it used to be illegal to cremate. Not illegal, but it was against
the
doctrine.
church, yeah.
Against doctrine,
right,
of the Catholic Church. I've been listening to a lot about different. It's just that everybody's going every which way. I'm still learning about some things that I had never thought of, and there's a book I want to read that I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it talks about what if all this was a lie, what we've been taught and told. You know, just like the book that I read, The Miseducation of the Negro. We were
Well, you know who they say writes history? The winner.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and they're free to twist things around however they want to
Yeah.
look like it's in their favor.
yeah. It happens all the time. I've seen it, firsthand. I've seen things I wouldn't believe would happen in a church. That's why these churches are really not growing. The Baptists, United Methodists, everybody's doing non-denominational.
They're trying
whatever
to
that
force
means.
things to fit in ways that work for them
Yeah,
and not work for
yeah.
what it was meant to work for.
Yeah, but it's all about nature. We're not here by luck. There was no luck.
I think a really good example is that as we touched on earlier, the Gnostic texts that have been found that
Right.
were left out of you know what we know as the Bible and things like that, because at the time, like, the church was afraid to talk about these things, because they literally talk about, like, you don't need to go to you don't need to have organizational things to do that. It would literally break apart the status quo of the hierarchy in those times. So they just buried these texts and ostracized people for believing them in them, when they were probably the closest thing to the words of Jesus Christ that we have
It was
that existed.
because the Gnostics, like the Unitarian Church, they teach to be a better person, to be a better individual, and that's all about self. That's not about anything else. And I know people that are Gnostic, and all it is just that it teaches you. They give you wisdom and words about how to be a better person, not because of what so and so said.
Right, exactly.
To be a better person, how you be a better person, thoughts and ideas of how to be a better person, because we all have to be better.
And to be clear, I'm not against the church in any way.
No, me either. I'm not.
There's good people in the church, there's bad people, and there's
Yeah.
just like there's good and bad people outside of the church.
Yeah.
It's whatever works for you, works for you, and if you find fulfillment in that, I'm happy for you, 100%.
I am too. Like I say, I keep saying that there's more than one way to God.
Exactly.
More than one way. You know, my way different from yours. Your way is I'm happy that you found a way.
Yeah, but
You know,
I
no
do
matter
think
what
that
it
it's
is.
important to acknowledge that there are these certain truths and things that have been hidden that we need to bring back to light, because it really will help people as a whole to have multiple options to draw from and multiple ways of contemplating the universe and our existence.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things that are attached to the stigma of the church that draw people away and push people away from that. So why ignore all these other things that are not necessarily of the church, but church adjacent, that, you know, could be another path for somebody to go down to find themselves.
No doubt about it. But I firmly believe that it's all about self. Not selfish, but it's all about what we
Realizing
think
that
about
you are
self.
created in the image of God, therefore you are God.
Right. Exactly. Not that I can move mountains, but you know, there's so much that but I'm gonna find that book that talks about what if we were wrong, and different thought ways of thinking. Because I look at it all just to pull out the pieces that fit what I needed to be fit. You know, take some from this and some from this, you know, and work it into myself to make me a better person. But that's all. That's the whole purpose of us being here, is to be a better person.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to find out how to be a better person.
And that's different for every individual.
I know,
too.
I know.
There's not something I can't just tell you do this, and you'll be a better person. I can give you examples on what works for me,
Right.
and maybe what's worked for him,
Yeah.
to kind of send you down a path to like figuring it out for yourself. But ultimately, it's something you have to figure out for yourself.
Yep, I'm learning through experiences. I've made some mistakes over and over and over again that I had to come to terms with and go a different direction. Like growing up as kids, my dad would always say, if your day is going bad, do not follow it. Change direction. Don't follow a bad day. I don't have a bad day. It might bring some external stimuli into my space that I have to, change my train of thought, and I get caught up in that. But yeah, if the day is going bad, do not follow it.
Reminds me of the song, actually. Are you familiar with Jim Croce? He's a singer-songwriter from the 70s.
The name sounds familiar.
Well, he's a song called "Hey Tomorrow." It's one of my all-time favorite folk songs. But the lyrics are, it's called "Hey Tomorrow." The lyrics say, "Hey tomorrow, where are you going? I'll have a new day if she'll have me."
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a great song. Yeah, I encourage everybody to check it out.
Yeah, but there's no such thing as tomorrow, because when it's tomorrow, it's today.
Yeah.
So we don't have a tomorrow. We have a today.
But I take it in the context of like, if you're having a day that's like, if you're in the present moment and the present moment is weighing heavy on you, know that it's the present moment. It's like, once that moment leaves, it's in the past, it's gone.
Yeah.
Hey tomorrow, where are you going? Come here.
Right.
I'll have a new day.
Yeah, and something else I believe in: what you expect, you will attract. Mm-hmm. The law of attraction.
1000%.
Yeah, what you expect, you will attract. I used to, I got these drugs on, the police gonna stop me. Next thing I know, I'm getting stopped by the police.
Yeah. And
stuff like that.
I tell
That's
people
crazy.
all the time, because I used to be that way. Like, I want this, I want that, I want this. But if you keep saying you want something, the universe is going to give you more wanting of that.
Yeah.
If you say, I'm getting this, it's different.
Right.
If you say, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get this, I'm getting this, then before you know it, it starts coming to you.
Law of attraction.
Yeah.
What you expect, you will attract. So I expect good things every day. I expect to be healthy. I expect to have a good day in the morning. I expect, now I'm not going to say I expect $1 million, but if I get it, I'll take it. You know what I mean? But I'm not, I know I expect to win the lottery. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If I do, it works.
Well, I feel like I've won the lottery with having you on my podcast.
Well, I'm honored. We got to do this again.
Oh yeah, there will be a part 2.
Yeah,
definitely.
We got to do this again. There's some other things I want to talk about that we do here at King Tears. That would something that I can come into this chapel and I can feel spirits. Now this might be kind of wild for you, but I've been around it so long that I have been able to, I can look at somebody that just died and I can see a smile in that phase, and I can see where they struggle to let go. You know, that
doesn't sound crazy to me at all.
They struggled, you know, to let it go. You know, give up the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it used to scare me to death. By the way, but anyway, it doesn't. But being around it so much, and seeing, because a lot of times people say, "Oh, he looks like he's smiling," you know, in the casket, you know. But I've seen people like, I know that they didn't want to give up the ghost.
Yeah.
You know, they fought it.
Yeah.
Like some people say, there's a bright light that they follow.
You know, and I'll tell you when I first started doing some work for you a couple of years back, I felt that too. Whenever I first started doing this, I remember I was dressing a body for being put in a casket, and I grabbed its hand, and it was just like an instant energy exchange almost.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard.
I know it did.
Yeah, but I
did.
felt it, and I understood in that moment that person that I was dressing was comfortable with where he was at.
Yeah. And you can feel it. I most time I can see it. It's like when my mother was in the hospital. She was on the last time she went. We'd go to the hospital, and she'll say, "Who are those people over there in the corner? You know, who are those people in the corner?" And I used to think about that. This was in '94, and to this day, those were her ancestors. Their spirits were in that room with her, waiting on her to give up the ghost.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Who are these people? My grandmother used to say, "I want to go home." "You at home?" "No, I want to go home." You know, I hear a lot of people say that.
We're about to get cut off here in a second. My camera's running out of time.
I talked to someone this morning, and his mother was telling me, his mother was telling him, "Have y'all called King Tears yet?" He said, "Mom, you're not dead yet." You know, but she know that time was there.
Yeah.
You know, she could feel something coming, where she accepted it. A lot of people don't accept it. When you don't have a choice, you can't cancel that reservation. You know,
we'll have to touch on this on part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll save this conversation.
Yeah,
we'll definitely follow up
for another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Stewart.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on.
I'm honored.
Yeah. And as we always say on this podcast, I am one, you are two. Goodbye.
Holla.
Thank you, Stewart.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very nice.
But man, it's weird.
Yeah.